Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
I'm not sure if I shared the story before, but I'm going to share it anyway.
Go ahead.
And that is, I have this curse with this abaya I'm wearing right now. And it is
It's looking good on you, though.
Thank you. Very shy.
It's a beautiful curse.
Honestly, the issue is that I wear it and it looks perfectly fine. I go out on my errands. I go to work. I go here. I go there. Then I come home and I look at it and I realize I've been wearing it inside out the entire time. And it's always this abaya in particular. And what's interesting is that I never notice it when I wear it. As in, I put it on, I look at it, I'm like, yup, that is the correct way to wear it. And then I go out and nobody says anything, not because they're being malicious. It's just that they also are convinced that this is the correct way to wear it.
Then maybe it's like an accidental design flaw where it looks good. It looks good inside out. It doesn't matter.
It's very interesting. It's like at some point, maybe either when I get home or 3/4 of the way into my, my trip, wherever I am, I look at myself and I'm like, I did not wear it wrong today. Then I look carefully and I'm like, I can see the seams. I can see
the little subtlety.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I'm wearing it wrong again. And I don't know about this app, but I love it so much. I wear it very often, but then the amount of times I've fallen into the trap is just unbelievable at this point. It's like, what is going on here?
I think you don't have to be too hard on yourself. Nobody else notices it.
I hope not.
Nobody else is judging you for it. You're looking good, whether it's upside down, inside out, doesn't matter.
I mean, I hope nobody else is going through the same thing, but I know that some people might have that issue where there is maybe that one t-shirt, or one pair of pants, or whatever it is, that no matter how many times you just turn it and twist it and put it inside out, at whatever you do, you're like, where is the correct way? What is going on here?
Especially if it's one of those undergarments.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just sitting in the office like, I want to kind of take my shirt off and fix the undergarment, then put my shirt back on, but I can't do that.
Honestly, yeah, I feel you. I understand you. This is just such a weird thing, but this is one of the weird things that we have to live with. Yes, those are first world problems, but you know what isn't a problem?
The afternoon Karak.
The afternoon Karak is a solution to you guys' day. We do have a lot to talk about. A big announcement. We're finally getting Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He was teased all the way back in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which has been, quite some time now.
Oh, yeah. Also, MGM Studios have been posting up some job listings, but not for movies, but rather for video games.
And there's another rumor about a well-known video game franchise, and I believe we may have spoken about this briefly, and that is Fortnight. According to some rumors, they are looking into making their own movie.
Oh dear. Oh dear. We also have a Not in the News special and a celebratory segment. All of that and so much more, guys. Don't forget to join in the conversation. Text us 4215. It's a lot to do right here on the Afternoon Karak.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
Okay, yes, I know we've celebrated this so many times, and we've also celebrated specific types of this dish, but it only makes sense that in October we celebrate the month of October as Pizza Month, and we delve deep into the various toppings of pizza, the pizza fights, etc. And, we always talk about the pizza toppings and, what we prefer, but what about the pizza types?
The pizza types.
As in, thin crust, thick crust, deep dish.
So for me, I've grown to really like stuffed crust. And there's this one from Pizza Hut. They do a California crust, which
nice.
It's a lot less fluffy, and it's got this like base to it that actually makes it very delicious. I can't really describe it, but it's not like any other pizza they got. But stuffed crust has always become, because I love eating. People don't eat the edges.
I love the edges, especially when it's like proper artisan pizza, like legit pizza from an Italian place.
Yeah.
Or like a specific pizza place. I'm not talking about fast food pizza. The crust is so good. It's the best part.
Yeah, you don't hate it when you open, you bring friends over or family and they eat the pizzas, but they leave the crust around.
I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I'm like, it's the exact same pizza you just ate. What are you talking about? Why don't you eat it? They're like, I don't like it. I mean, that makes no sense.
I actually do save it. I take the pieces, I cut them accordingly, and then I keep them in the fridge for later. And I did this one thing one time where I took the crusts and I dipped it in garlic and butter, roasted in the oven, and had it with my pasta.
Garlic bread.
It's become now my new little side hobby.
Here's another idea for you. Why don't you let it go stale a little bit? Not obviously go bad, but just a little bit stale, and turn it into homemade breadcrumbs instead of buying breadcrumbs.
For like salads, right?
No, not croutons. Croutons work, but breadcrumbs, as in like for when you want to deep fry something, instead of getting breadcrumbs or for your mac and cheese or whatnot, you already have your breadcrumbs, because that's how they make breadcrumbs. They usually take your old bread that you have, then you just dry it up, as in put it in the oven, then blitz it a little bit with maybe some herbs.
That's not a bad idea.
And there you go, your homemade breadcrumbs.
Or even bread a whole pizza, fry the pizza.
Oh my god,
it's bread crusts, breaded pizza. That might be a little bit too much, because it might get soggy, and there are other stuff that might happen. But honestly, for me, I'm really sorry to anybody who prefers it or anybody who is from Chicago, but I am really sorry. I really cannot. Have you tried a deep dish?
I have, and it feels the ratios are way too off.
More bread than topping.
No, more topping than bread.
Oh, okay.
It feels like it just does not make sense to me at all, and I cannot appreciate it.
It's like a pizza pool.
Very much. I mean, those are the ones that I tried. When I look at it, I'm like, that feels, I know people call pizza a pie, but no, it looks like an actual tomato and cheese pie. And sometimes, yes, I know, if you remember the categorization thing we did a while back? Yes, according to that, some foods fall into some weird categories, and you can argue that anything with bread is a pie. It works out. But my point is, it just feels like an actual pie, like a quiche maybe, rather than an actual pizza. And I'm not sure about the Italians, if they approve of that. Then honestly, even though I would sometimes disagree, like when somebody goes like Hawaiian pizza, maybe an Italian person goes like Hawaiian pizza is not real, it's not proper, I would disagree with them. But then I also understand where they're coming from when they say that perhaps a deep dish pizza is not a proper pizza.
A friend of mine who lives and works in Italy, he came by for a visit, told me that in Italy, you'll never find Pizza Hut. It's almost been boycotted by its own people. They do not consider Pizza Hut's pizza actual Italian pizza.
I mean, think about it. Let's just say, مثلا in the Middle East, there is, or at least maybe in the States, they made some sort of fast food restaurant that serves, I don't know, maybe waraq anab, okay? And they just do it in a very fast food sort of way. It's not the proper way. They don't cook it the proper way just because they want to make it fast food.
Yeah.
And then imagine them coming here to the UAE, to the Gulf, the Middle East region in general, maybe some parts of Africa, and they kind of go like, here, this is a Vine Leaves restaurant. Won't you boycott it as well? You will not eat from it there either.
You're right.
Because it depends. I mean, yes, we know we have, fast food shawarma places, fast food rice places, etc. But then if you take something that is so, I wouldn't say sacred, because although food is sacred to every culture and they have their norms and etc., you should also try to your best to, give them due diligence. But also, there are some things that you just do not mess with too
there's
much.
like an authentic process to making Arabic food.
Exactly. So imagine when you take a new fast foodicize it, and you start going everywhere, and people enjoy it as fast food, but then you take it to the actual people, and they're like, no, that's not how you make it. So it makes sense. Like you can go to your nearest, to your grandma, to your aunt, to your parents' house, to the nearest restaurant right next to you, or next to your apartment, and get proper, authentic food. Why would I go to a fast food place like Pizza Hut?
If I don't have a Lebanese making me a falafel sandwich, I'm not going there.
It depends. It depends on if you're going for the Palestinian falafel, the Lebanese falafel, the Egyptian falafel. There are lots of types.
If I don't have a Middle Eastern making me a falafel sandwich, I'm gonna get out of there.
Exactly. See, there it is. We also have our own issues with that as well, so it makes sense. Happy Pizza Day. Share your controversial pizza ideas, your controversial pizza favorites. Text us 4215 Etisalat or do. Now we move on to our big news of the day, and that is Adam Warlock is officially a part of the MCU. We already knew that, but now he has officially been cast. Let's talk about that coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
A couple of years ago, when we got Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I remember being really excited about the upcoming phase of the MCU. And it's mostly because they teased Adam Warlock, who was supposedly, according to the Marvel Comics, is one of the strongest characters within the universe. And back then, we weren't really sure what's going to happen with Thanos. He was still kind of the guy in the sky. We weren't sure about much about who he is and what he's about. So it was all exciting. We were like, well, he's going to be part of this. He's going to be part of this. And then nothing happened.
You're right. I thought the same thing because Adam Warlock,
Gunn.
he's involved with, in the comics at least, part of the Infinity War.
Exactly. And I remember James Gunn basically going like, he's not going to be part of it for a while. And I was like, goodness, James, what are you doing to us? But now we got our news.
Yes, this is an exclusive report from Deadline as James Gunn and the executive have finally announced that the cast for Adam Warlock will be Will Poulter. Hopefully I got that right.
Will Poulter is well known. Like, if you guys have seen him, you might not recognize the name. I'm going to have to say that. But if you see his face, you're like, yeah, he's that guy. I've seen him in so many movies. And honestly, maybe this might sound a little bit wrong if I say it's going to be his next big break, because he's been in a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something that, he's a newbie or anything.
I've lived with him since I was a kid, honestly. I've seen him in kid movies, and now him taking up Marvel films. I'm just, in a weird way, I'm kind of proud of him.
That's the thing, and we've seen him in, the Chronicles of Narnia, and he has Midsummer. He has won a BAFTA as well, so it's wrong if I say it's going to be his big break, but I have to say that it's possibly like a big blockbuster movie in comparison to the movies he's been doing all these years. Again, I'm not saying that he's not well known, he's not great. I mean, if he wasn't great, he wouldn't have been picked to be Adam Warlock.
Yeah, I've always had this weird notion that Will Poulter looks something similar to Jesse Pellman.
Yeah.
In a weird way. There's always, I know they're different.
I know what you mean.
There's a slight distinction between them. I always confuse them to be the same actor, but no.
I know what you mean, but yeah, he's super cool. And what I love about him as well is that he's within our age as well. He was born in 93, so go millennials. I'm very happy to see you guys all over the place. I mean, we are all over the place, so that is a given. But it's exciting. Cannot wait to see him. And I think that for now, I think that he is a very good fit for this.
Yeah, he's got a sharp look for it.
He does. He can easily nail the look, and he can easily nail the role as well. Which also brings me back to what I was gonna say, that when I wanted to say that yes, it's not his big break, because technically Marvel movies, superhero movies should not be considered as the big break for actors and actresses, whether they're new or they have been doing it for a long time. Simply because it's kind of unfair or wrong to say, basically putting superhero movies as the
pinnacle of filmmaking career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a type of movies that you should be aspiring to, maybe if you have an interest with. I mean, especially since I need to talk about this, and that is our favorite Timothée Chalamet actually announced yesterday in some sort of...
I think I've read this.
I'm pretty sure you've read it. It was an interview, and he says that he was told by his mentor to stay away from hard drugs, which makes sense because it took a lot of people's lives within the Hollywood industry, and also stay away from superhero movies.
Whoa.
Yeah, so again, it goes to the preferences. Now we're seeing a lot of big names in superhero movies, whether it's in the MCU, DCEU, or other independent superhero productions. But it's super cool, and cannot wait to see Adam Warlock. Now we move on to MGM, because according to this news, there's job listings for interactive games director. What does that mean? Coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
This is Pulse 95.
As MGM Studios is currently in the period of transitioning to Amazon, as you guys know, Amazon bought out MGM Studios for about $8 billion. And it seems with this acquisition that there could possibly be some sort of change of plans for MGM, not to only expand the roster of films, but also expand into the video game market.
It only makes sense because we also know that Amazon is quite interested in taking advantage of their IPs, and we were talking about it just 2 days ago about how it will not make sense if they do not take advantage of the James Bond IP as well, whether it is this version of James Bond or the future series of James Bond, whoever they pick in the future. So they basically have Rocky, Creed, and James Bond, which are, well known. They're big franchises. Will they delve into the world of video games through these titles? Possibly, maybe, could work. But I feel like if they go into James Bond, if they're working towards it right now, either Amazon has some sort of plans for the future, or it's a little bit too little too late, because we're already done with this version.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is gone, khalas. But again, do they have some future ideas within the same universe, the James Bond universe? Are they going to revisit it so very soon? That is the question.
Well, I don't think it only has to be James Bond. We know that IO Interactive, the people behind the Hitman series, are making a new original James Bond game. So it means that MGM might be looking further into their catalog of IPs. They have Pink Panther.
Nice.
They have Vikings. They got Rocky. I think
Rocky
they have
Creed, yeah.
They have that. They have RoboCop and The Handmaid's Tale. And like you said, because they're part of Amazon, and Amazon has their own video game studio, I think it's just that I think Amazon are just kind of pushing MGM to, hey, you should really start, gamifying some of your intellectual properties. And it shows because they've posted up a job listing for an interactive games director. So it seems that they're trying to go down this path. And honestly, I would love for them to delve more and adapt some of their favorite franchises into video games. Who wouldn't love a new RoboCop game?
Oh yeah,
honestly?
definitely. So I'm all down for it, and I love the way all these studios are kind of looking into video games as the next way to expand their operations. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about some weird and not in the news story. Fortnite movie being considered within Epic Games, and Twitch reportedly being hacked, and a lot of things have been leaked. Coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
Speaking about, well-known movie franchises and TV franchises going towards video games, let's talk about video games becoming movies, because according to this rumor, Epic Games is considering a Fortnite movie.
It's almost an obvious choice. In a way, I was thinking it's maybe about time they did this, and they probably should have done this a while back. Big video game publishers have not shied away from making a couple of video game adaptations. Ubisoft, the Assassin's Creed series. Square Enix did the Tomb Raider. They're doing a sequel for that.
Yeah.
I remember Sony did Ratchet & Clank animated film. But there's always this issue that adapting a video game into a film isn't always the most graceful thing.
It rarely is.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
And so now, if Fortnite is considering to do this, from this report alone, Epic Games is weighing the merits of such an endeavor, due in part to Fortnite's absence from iOS, which will cost the company an exorbitant amount of money. And because now they're banned from the Apple Store, they're trying to find other ways to, maybe acquire different types of revenue. And maybe making a Fortnite movie, could be one of those ways to do it.
Very interesting that is their strategy, as in that's their way of compensating for the loss of revenue, even though I think that, yes, okay, they probably are losing revenue from people who do not have the game on their iOS devices. But let's be honest, lots of people still play Fortnite, whether it's on their Android phones, and every single console out there already has Fortnite. So I'm pretty sure the people, I understand it's very accessible on the phone, so it's much easier, and the majority of the people around the world use Apple phones. So I know accessibility, very easy to use, etc. But again, is that really the case? Just say we want to make a movie. That is fine. That is absolutely valid. Nobody's going to come up and boycott them for it. Just be honest.
The possibilities for a Fortnite movie can can be almost limitless at this point. Because Fortnite has crossed over itself through so many meta universes. They have things like Marvel, NFL, Star Wars, and even other intellectual properties just set in their universe now. And to make a movie based on that, or maybe base it off the original story and the lore of Fortnite, that could be also interesting, maybe for the fan base in particular. But I do harken back to that theory that they're really just considering to make a movie to compensate for the losses of being banned from Apple Store.
I mean,
it must be a lot of money if they're like, let's make a Fortnite movie.
but if you remember, the rumors have been there before that for quite a while now. They've been circulating across the internet and beyond that. Epic Games has been considering making a movie for Fortnite. And I don't know. I don't think it's because of that.
It doesn't
I think
feel right. Fortnite is like, it's what it is that, and I want it to remain that, in my opinion.
I feel like if we talk about the lore of Fortnite, I'm not sure if it can fit into a movie. I feel like it can easily fall into something similar to, I'm trying to remember which movie. Oh, sorry, the movie that just came out, the Monster Hunter movie.
Monster Hunter movie.
The way they basically turned into a weird thing where they kind of go from the real world to another world, and they're military people and they're fighting.
Oh, yes.
I feel like they might fall into that trap. That is such a common trope they use when it comes to video games. They're trying to make video games feel realistic when they could have easily just adapted it and made it sort of like a strange world that just exists the way it exists and just go along with it. It's a movie about a video game. We can't suspend our belief about it. So I feel like I hope they don't fall into that trope, because this is where it feels it can easily head towards, because I cannot see it going any other way. But then, as usual, we wait and see, and I hope it doesn't become something very vague. I know, like, for example, the Battlefield movie, even though that's based on a board game, or a sort of a board game.
Yeah.
But it still felt like it was so far off. Like, where did the aliens
Starring
come from?
Rihanna.
Where did the aliens come from? Excuse me, Rihanna's not that bad.
I'm not saying that she was bad.
It just made no sense that she was there. Good for her. I mean,
Yeah.
It was her break into movies, I believe. But yeah, it's either that. Either they get inspired by the elements of the video game with just random things here and there, or for some reason, the military is transported to another world.
You're right.
It's just so weird. because
Go
they
all the way or don't do it at all.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
As usual, we wait and see. Coming up next, we talk about the disaster that happened within Twitch, where lots of documents got leaked, and we're basically shown some really bad things that Twitch has been doing beneath the table, and also some not in the news. A very funny one, unfortunate thing that happened to a bunch of women who really wanted some tea from overseas. Coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
So it appears that some people were very successful in hacking the entirety of Twitch, and they've got source codes and user payouts among the data in 128 gigabyte torrent. And this also includes a no ban list, which means that it basically confirms what everybody has been speculating about Twitch, and that is that they have favorites.
This anonymous user posted a 125 gig torrent link on 4chan, stating that the leak was intended to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space because, as he says in quotations, their community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool.
Not surprised, because this is something very common, a sentiment that has been spoken many times by many advocates on social media platforms, across all social media platforms, whether they're talking about toxicity within the streaming industry in YouTube or whether on Twitch. It's an ongoing discussion. It's not surprising that somebody has this sort of sentiments.
Now, with this hack, besides the source code and the no banned list, there's also there was a software that if you open it up, it showed up some sort of like newly built chat system, and it looks like, from people's theory and people digging into it, that this is an unreleased Steam competitor codenamed Vapor from Amazon Game Studios.
Very interesting. Now, it just shows that, well, Twitch has a lot of things up its sleeve, whether it was interesting ideas such as Vapor or problematic ones such as the no ban list. I need to go back to it, honestly, because it's like I feel like they had many chances to prove everybody wrong, especially with the many times specific Twitch streamers creating issues that were obvious violations of the guidelines, and them just basically getting a small tap on their hands, and then we're like, don't do it again, please and thank you. And they would repeat the violations and they would be ignored, and a lot of people would talk about it. And there was the Twitch Blackout not too long ago, I believe it was a month ago, and still nothing was done about it. I feel like it was only, it was only time. Like, it was only going to happen sooner rather than later. It only made sense that was going to happen because the entire community has been angry.
With all this controversy, to see an anonymous hacker go out of his way to strip Twitch bare, that basically put them out there naked to the public and see them for what they're worth. If anything, I hope that this is almost like a breakthrough of some kind. I'm not gonna make any promises. Maybe this could in some way force Twitch to make some drastic changes that the communities have been complaining about for a long time, to even possibly get rid of that favoritism that they now obviously have based on that no ban list, and be a little bit more, be able to communicate better the community guidelines, the policies on that platform.
Yeah.
What should be appropriate, what should not be appropriate, and what type of exploits that streamers use that should be violated in the first place.
Exactly. I hope this is, although it's a disaster for Twitch, I hope it goes towards the right way and it fixes something that has been an issue for a lot of people for a long, long time. Coming up next, an unfortunate story. Like, honestly, it's sad, but also funny at the same time. But 2 women really wanted tea from China. And as a result, they got jailed for 5 months. Coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Not in the news?
Not in the news. Weirdness that happened
Today.
True story.
Okay, imagine this, right? You go online, you order a bunch of tea for you and your friend, right? And you might order a lot of it, of course, because, you love some tea. Maybe you're going to sell it. And then you get a call from the police and they raid your house and they take you to prison for 5 months as a result.
That is a genuine fear that I have. Actually, whenever I travel, I worry that maybe one day when I'm picking up my luggage, that there's something in there that is prohibited, something illegal, that somebody stashed, and I get in trouble for it. This is a genuine fear that I have when I travel.
Basically,
and that's why I feel for these two women, honestly.
Basically, that's, like you said, that's exactly what happened. They ordered ginger tea from China.
Oh my God.
It's just some ginger tea. And what ended up happening is that the police raided their house because, according to them, they charged them with commercial drug supply, which is an offense which carries a maximum penalty of life behind bars. And the officers were relying on evidence that showed the tea had returned a positive preliminary test for prohibited drugs. But then the substance that was imported from China wasn't sent off for a formal test until April, and the shipment arrived in January, and they got tried all the way back in January. So 3 months later, the formal test revealed the ginger tea contained no trace of drugs. So imagine that. This has been ongoing from January all the way till July, and
that's horrifying.
5 months in jail.
That's horrifying. I would not wish that on the worst of my enemies, honestly. This is such a terrible situation to be in.
The thing is, the funny thing is not the issue. It's very unfortunate and it's upsetting. But ginger tea is so potent. How did they not smell it and be like, oh, it's ginger tea?
Such a big misunderstanding.
Like, when it comes to tea, it is so easy to just sniff it from afar. I mean, I know maybe that's not how it goes when it comes to working with the police. Maybe in real life, that's not how it happens. But you see how in movies and TV shows, they should just like taste the evidence? They shouldn't. I'm pretty sure they shouldn't. But again, if you see something that looks like tea, and I don't think it's gonna hurt if you smell it from outside of the packaging, because again, ginger tea is so potent. You can smell it from miles away. So I'm not sure what was going on with these officers, and also what was going on with the barristers as well.
Someone wasn't doing their job that day, honestly.
You're gonna get in a lot of trouble because it's not a mistake that it's a very rookie mistake.
Well, luckily enough, the two women are actually suing for damages and are actually asking the prosecutors to pay the women's court costs and even have the case completely dropped.
As it should be, and hopefully
they're fighting for it.
Hopefully they get a couple of millions as well for emotional damages, because it is what they deserve as well. A bunch of cups of tea. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about ways you guys can win up to 10,000 dirhams. Yes, several of you can be winners of 10,000 dirhams, and we can tell you exactly how to do that coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.